Fantastic, I'm alive. Hello guys, good evening. Good evening to this 2021 November 21st Saturday, and today we are going to do Emacs Lisp coding live. Okay, Emacs Lisp coding live. Fantastic, Emacs. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, and you are looking at my keyboard, Kinesis Advantage 2 keyboard. That's this one, red switches, and this is Ultimate Hacking. And you can find them on XR Keyboard blog. Just search for it. You can find my reviews of them, Kinesis Advantage 2 and Ultimate Hacking. And I'm showing my keyboard so that you can see my workflow, the most efficient way to operate the computer end. So because we are going to do Emacs today, Emacs Lisp coding, showing browser, this is today's talk show page. For each video, YouTube video, I have a corresponding talk show page, XR Talk Show. Just search for it, you'll find it. And today, here is today. This is here are the past videos. And click on today. We have the topics, notes, code, and so on. So in Emacs, and in the pink window, you can see all my Emacs command calls. For example, let's turn on Global Highlight Lines mod. Global Highlight Lines mod, so you can see where is my cursor. So for each key press, you can see my key press on the pink window, and the corresponding command call. I'm using XR keys, and I'm using Vorak keyboard layout. Okay, so let's begin. So let's see, comments, questions posted. I love to see your comments. Ka Fu Zhuang, hello, Vietnam. You are probably from Vietnamese, right? Okay, let's begin. So what are we going to do first? So we are going to Emacs Lisp coding, Emacs Lisp. Okay, so for this session is for you you guys interested in Emacs. Coffee. Dense Emacs Lisp coding. That's what we are doing. That's what we're gonna do. So okay. So let me show you. Okay, so modify. So first of all, we're gonna modify this XR HTML video file suffix. Okay, let me show you. So that is XR HTML mod. So you are looking at the XR HTML mod. So let's go to the source code. Call describe key, then press the key that invokes XR HTML mod. The key is bam, 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 bam. Okay, so that's delete space MH. Delete is this key, by the way. So this thumb key on my Kinesis Advantage 2 keyboard. So press that space MH gets you the XR HTML mod. And tab, jump to the source code. Here's the source code. And 4,600 lines. Go to go to the top, and here is the link. Open the link, show in browser. You can find it on this website. Just search for it, XR HTML mod, and if you like it, you can buy it. Okay, it's open source. Pay me and you'll get it. And now, so in XR HTML mod, okay, copy the link back to Emacs. Open the bookmark. Fast open XR Talk Show page, open that page and paste the link here so we have a record of what we talked about. So show in browser, there it is. Now, okay, let me explain what is it that we are coding. So if you go to XR HTML mod source code, so let's do it again. Then search for video file. Okay, there it is. So you have this function. This you can see. Let's magnify. Okay, let's magnify some more. Okay, so you can see there is a function. Now what does this function do? This will return true if the file path is a video file. Return false otherwise. Let's do some demo. Okay, so copy the function name. Open a new buffer, paste the function name. Okay, I don't want, actually I copy the whole line instead. So do it again, magnify, make a parenthesis, delete that, and turn this buffer into XOR Emacs Lisp mod. So that key is bam, 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 bam. So that's XOR Emacs Lisp mod. You can also pay me and get it. Okay, so now we have this function. Let's say a path. Okay, so whatever path. Let's say cat JPEG, cat MP4. Let's say. Okay, run the code. You can see it returns true. Now let's show the. Okay. You can see it returns 3, which in Emacs Lisp is true. Now in Emacs Lisp, the only value that evaluates to false in a Boolean context is nil or empty list. Okay, empty list is equivalent to nil. So these two values are false in a Boolean context, such as if something, then else. Otherwise, everything else is true. That's Emacs Lisp, the language. Okay, so anyway, so we are running this function and cat.mp4 run it. So the result is 3, which is true. Okay, now for example, let's say JPEG. Okay, run it. You can see the result is nil, false. Okay, let's start move. Okay, move is Apple's QuickTime format movie. So run it. You can see the value is 3, again true. So this function returns true or false. Now, so here is the implementation of the function. Now you can see the let's narrow to region, so we only see the function. Narrow to define. Okay, so we don't get confused with other code. So you can see the implementation is basically called string match. So string match with this regular expression and with this file path. So the file path is the argument here. So if it matches mp4 or .mov or .mkv or webm or m1v, m4v, all those are movie file extensions. Now, what we want to do now is to modify this so that it's not hard-coded. So we are going to have a variable. Let's see. Let's start to code it. Define var. Okay. So let me show you what it is. Okay, so define var HTML video file extensions. Okay, so this is going to be a list of extensions, initial value nil. Okay, docstring. A list of video file extensions. Okay, that's the documentation for this variable. Now let's give a value to this variable. Okay, set HTML video file extensions. Okay, now we are going to give a list. Okay, so here is a list. Now what are they going to be? They're going to be similar to this string. Okay, so we're gonna modify this string so they become a list. So mp4 move mkv m1v m4v. This, by the way, this mp4 m1v m4v or are variations of the MPEG-4 video format. The video formats are quite complex, because they have the container what do you call file format or protocol container? What is the anyway? You got a container, then you got the codecs. Codecs is the actual format, the algorithm that compresses video stream. So you have a container, which you have several standardized container. Then for each container, they support a set of compression codecs, compression algorithms. So anyway, it's fairly complex and they are changing every year. So anyway, so back to what we are coding. So we don't need that anymore. So each one of them needs to be a string. So each one of them needs to be like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call a XOR command that does it to a whole bunch of lines. So do it. Quote to use double, yes. Line separator, none. Okay, so you see, very convenient command, and that command name is xarcode lines. You can just find it on the web. Source code is available. You can grab it and use for your purposes. Okay, now prettify the code. Now I want to compact the code into one line. So this is very simple. So now XR HTML video file extensions, we got that. So now we need to modify this implementation to use that. Okay, so let's do. So why do we need a variable for this? Because then it's easier for people to modify, because video file formats changes all the time. So right now I have this few, but for example, some people might want to add, you know, there are so many, so like tens of them. You know, some of them are old formats. Anyway, you can easily search Wikipedia. So anyway, so people can edit it easily instead of hard coding. So now we need to implement, re-implement this line basically. So what we're gonna do, let's look up, let's go to XR practical Emacs Lisp tip, practical Emacs Lisp tutorial, and you can, and you know, this is how I use my own tutorial as a reference. So at the bottom you'll see sequence functions, okay, and one of them we want here. So we want every find. Okay, so there are many ways to implement it. So let's try sequence sum. So sequence sum gives a function and a list. If the function applied to the list return true, any one of them, then the whole thing is true. So that's what sequence sum do. That's what it does. So we could use this. We could. There are many ways. In fact, there's more efficient way. But let's just try this. Okay. So sequence sum. So for example, let's look at documentation describe function. So here's a documentation for sequence sum. So takes two arguments, predicate and a sequence. Okay. So the sequence is that XR video file extensions. The predicate, the function that returns true or false, would be string match. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so string match, regular expression. Yeah, okay, so the string will be the path. Okay, so okay, so you need a lambda. Actually, you need a lambda here. So let's do lambda. Okay, lambda x. So let's put this in a body. So lambda x so string match one of these extensions and match it against path. If it returns true, then stop and returns true. Okay, so that prettify the code. Let's prettify the code. That should be it. Let's double check. String match x is the extension, match against the path. Yeah. So compact this line, make it, you know, comment it out. Then here is our new code. Now let's test it. Okay. Now first of all, we need to evaluate each of these because this is variable. It's a new. Any comment and questions? WebM. Yeah, there's WebM. WebM is already here. Wait, what? Oh, I missed WebM. Oh, thank you. I missed WebM here. Yeah. Okay, let's paste it. WebM is from Google. You know, Google bought this AV9 or something. You know, it changes over the past 30 years. You know, every few years there's a new one better. That's a video compression algorithm and formats. You know, I have a lot rants about this because, for example, MKV is the MKV container format is the open source. However, it's not supported by Firefox. Go figure. But it's supported by Google Chrome and Google Chrome engine. So that includes the Microsoft Edge browser also supported, but not Firefox. Even though MKV is supposed to be the Linux people all chant about it. So we have created a new variable. Let's evaluate it. Okay. Evaluate it, so Emacs knows. Evaluate it, so Emacs knows. And this new function we just modified, let's also evaluate it. Okay, now let's test it if it's true. Okay, call this function, give a path. Let's say cat dot mkv. Okay, that should return true. Let's see if it's true or false. Turn on the video. Go to the message buffer so you can see the result. Now let's evaluate. Evaluate. 4. That's true. Correct. Great. So now let's add a few. So let's dot move M4V. Okay, let's try these 3. Okay, so evaluated true. Okay, evaluated true. They all return 4. But why they return 4? Because it actually returns the position it matched in this string. For example, if you have cat and dogs, then you evaluate this, then you see the result is 11, which is true still. So, but now actually I found a mistake. Let's say the file name cat move without a dot. Okay, that shouldn't be a movie file. Because you need the dot for extension. Let's run it. It returns true, which is incorrect. You see, so because we actually want to have a dot in the path, so let's modify the code. So basically, what we have to do is concatenate a dot in front of the file extension. So let's change the x to ext, so it makes it more readable. So we want to, let's copy that. We want to concat a dot there. Okay, so this line we no longer need. Compact the code, make it pretty. Okay, this is the proper one. Now evaluate it. Good. Now let's test this line again. Run it. It still returns true, which is incorrect. Why? Because the dot in regular expression is a meta character. It matches any character. So that's not what we want. We want a literal dot. So in this case, we need to add, the //. So that means we want a literal dot. So let's try it again. Evaluate the code. Go to this line. Evaluate it. You see, now it returns nil. You can see at the bottom. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see right there nil. Right here. Okay. So now this is our correct code. So let's show the differences. So before, let's show the pink window. Delete the whole line, uncomment. So before it looks like that. Now, okay, so this is before. The code looks like this. The new code, the new implementation looks like that. Okay, so the new implementation requires these 2 new variables now, so people can extend it, can add Okay, that's it. Now widen the exit the narrow to window so we see the whole file. Now we don't need this test code. Delete those test code, and this old code we don't need it anymore, so delete it. Okay, shrink. So double check. Okay, define var, define this extension. Okay, now you need to modify the documentation. So let's modify the documentation. So return true. Let's say true if path has video file extension, okay, else nil. Now let's say based on this variable, okay, this variable we just added. So return true if path has video file suffix. Now I want to rename it. I want to call it extension instead of suffix. So now here is a part about English literature, naming of things. So by convention, a file name, let me show you. By convention, a file name such as, html_mod.el. The el, the part is called extension. That's a convention. But however, more generally speaking, that is called suffix. Okay, so naming of things, file extension versus file suffix. Okay. Personally, I always favored the suffix name because that is a general word for kind of this purpose, because it just means the ending attachment .el, the ending part .el, whatever is the last dot something. So in English language we have prefix, we have suffix, which is standard. But however, the extension, the new terminology extension came up because, well, history, because the DOS era, back then a file name can only have 8 characters, and also you cannot have meta information. Basically the extension, file extension, is the meaning, the purpose of file extension is to indicate what type of file it is. For example, .el means it's a Emacs Lisp file. .js means it's a JavaScript file. So file name extension is a kind of a meta info. It's called meta info, metadata. If you search metadata, it's a long history. In the past 30 years in computing industry, lots of drama. For example, Apple computers, Apple systems, macOS systems, they don't have extensions. They have a better system to embed meta information. But on the DOS, on Windows, you don't have that. So you attach the metadata into the file name, by using dot something, and that became the standard. This is a very lousy way to do things, but however, it became the standard. And on Unix, it's worse. Okay, Unix doesn't, Unix is worse. Unix and Linux. But anyway, so that's a digression about the naming of things. So the traditional standardized name is called extension, file name extension. But however, the name suffix, in my opinion, is a better name and universally understood. Why? Because why do I think it's a better name? Because suffix has a very specific meaning, and also the context is very clear. It's in linguistics, it means kind of variations of a verb or a noun, a suffix, very standard and very specific meaning and universal in English language. While the name extension could mean anything. For example, Firefox or browser extension, browser plugin, browser add-on. Those are variations of naming of the same thing. But so the word extension, do you mean browser extension or do you mean file extension? They're completely different things. So in my opinion, suffix is a better terminology, while the extension is, it's idiotic. But however, given how things are, the word, the term extension is already standard. Okay, it's just how things are. Just like Unix, many of our conventions, such as truncate lines, truncate, like press add a new line. Truncate lines when it reaches 70 or 80 characters. That's a convention, but that's begin from Unix, very bad convention. So in my naming of functions, for example, you can see this function named .html video file suffix -p. Now -p means predicate. That's a Emacs Lisp convention and common Lisp and scheme common Lisp. Okay, and you know, in general, that's the -p is from Lisp convention. Okay, anyway. So anyway, I was saying I choose to use suffix, but now I think I changed my mind. I'm gonna rename them just extension because people understand, you know, what the extension means. It's ubiquitous. You know, it's in the documentation. You know, it's documentation of Bash, Python, PowerShell, every language. You know, nobody calls it suffix. That's just my personal quirk. But you know, but it lost out. Okay, so now, before we do anything, let's go to talk show. Today's talk show. Just add a little blurb about what we talked about. Naming of things, file extension versus file suffix. Okay. Okay, close that. Now close that. Now back to the code here. Now let's make the code work. Now comments and questions, I'm gonna post it. Okay, I'm gonna read it in a minute. So now we have done this. Now I'm going to rename this. Okay, I'm going to rename it offline. But for now, you know, you'll see this kind of inconsistency, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna rename them. Okay, now it's done. Now, let me show you an example of a function that actually calls this. You know, which function needs this? Well, for example, okay, let me show you. Okay, so let's go to a video. Now, where do I have video? Okay, so keyboard. Let's go to keyboard. Now go to okay, let's go to PowerShell. Let's show you PowerShell. CD Casali info. Okay. Keyboard. Okay. Lots of files. Now recurse include. Now let's find the file mp4. Okay, lots of files. Now let's just okay, I have a Kinesis Advantage keyboard, this keyboard video demo. So let's yeah, I know where that file is. Let's just go to it then. Actually, let's just copy the file name. Copy the file. Okay, so what page is this? Okay, close the keyboard blog and go to talk show. Open today's talk show. Go there. Back to Emacs. Paste the file name here. You can see there is the file. So now we want to the actual directory is. Okay, so let's go to keyboard. Oh, actually, I don't know what directory. What directory is this? You know, one thing annoying about Windows is that it doesn't show the full path. Okay, but we can fix that. So the way to fix that is you know, recurse include mp4, then you pipe it to a function. Pipe it to what function? Okay, $, low line, that means the current argument, dash full name. Okay, full name is a property of the file object that's returned by the. Okay, let's do it. Okay, expression are only allowed as the first element of pipeline. What the? I forgot. What is it? Jesus, I forgot. Okay, let's go to PowerShell. So search for Xali PowerShell tutorial. You'll find it. Let's go to working on directories. Okay, let's go to working on files. create new file, direct. Okay, let's go to list files. List files, and oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, for each. How idiotic I've been. So go back to PowerShell. Let's modify this. So what we need is for each. Okay. Yeah. Why is the tab doesn't work? Yeah, there it is. For each object. Okay, that's the full name. Then that dollar sign underscore dot full name. So for each object, print the full name. Okay, enter. There it is. Now, so where is my Kinesis? Here is the full path. Okay, copy it. Okay, close that. Paste. There it is. There we have the full path of the MP4 is a video. Let's open the file. You see, this is the content of the file. Now open this in a movie player. I just press a key and it will launch. Hi, so I want to record some typing test, and I'm going to type Alice in Wonderland. Okay, chapter 1. That's, you go to my Kinesis Advantage keyboard, sorry, search for it, you'll find this file. So if I show in browser, now you can see it's just a file path, but you want it to be a embedded video. So what I do, I just press a key, you see it becomes that. So the file path now becomes a relative link, a video, a video tag, and with the annotation of what it is, figure caption. So go back to browser, reload, you see, there is a movie. Hi, so I want to record. So how does that work? What the command did I just call? That command is called XHTML any to link. So basically when you call that command, that Emacs command will look at what your current line is, and you'll use the file name extension to determine whether it should be a video tag or a link tag or JavaScript, source tag or whatever. So that's all part of XHTML mod. Okay, buy it if you like my stuff. Support me. Okay, so in order to do that, so that's why we are, that's why we have been, that's why today we have been modifying this function. This function tells Emacs which file is a video file. And if it is a video file, then, wrap the video tag around it. Okay? So how long have we been talking? I'm gonna read the comments now, and let's see. Yeah, okay, so, and let's do some more Emacs. Basically, we finished this one, and there's another one, but okay, so let me read the comments. Interesting. Unfortunately, I cannot understand any of these. Well, if you study Emacs Lisp, just go to my website. It should be not difficult, okay? Practical Emacs tutorial. Let's copy that. Go here. Paste it so we have a record, okay? And go back. You see, practical Emacs Lisp. Go back here. Paste it. Make a link. Make a list. So we have a record what we talked about. Show in browser. This is today's talk show. So you can see the code here. We just modified. We just changed this part. And there's another we're gonna do. Yeah, Midi, okay, analytic method. Yeah, there was also the Midi format, which is very sad story. So, okay, so we did most of the Emacs Lisp for 40 minutes by now. Let's talk random a little bit. So, Kasali, Midi. So here, let me tell you what Midi is. Okay, buying a Midi keyboard, the unfortunate fate of music Midi files. Okay, let me tell you what the Midi is. And then I have article piano Midi notes, and audio recorder, synthesizers, Midi software. That's an old article. And Lisp keyboard music, lots of Midi files. Okay, so let me tell you what is a Midi file. So, well, here is buying a Midi keyboard. Okay, so a Midi file is basically a file that's standardized file for recording musical notes. For example, when you play a piano, maybe it's Bach or something. You know, it's a bunch of notes, how long it's held down, how hard you pressed it, you know, a bunch of notes. So a Midi file is a standard way. It began in 1970s, I think, 1970s, 1980s. It's a file format, a standard file format that records what notes of music, you know, maybe symphony, piano, guitar, whatever. It simply records the notes, you know, which notes are being pressed or which pitch, you know, which notes, yeah. For Western music mostly. Notes, duration, how hard it's pressed, essentially those things. So the file is very small. For example, you can play a whole entire, so this is a Midi file, for example. Today's browser doesn't support it. That's very sad, okay? But anyway, the file is extremely small. For example, for 5 minutes piano, Bach's music. So you search for XAR music, so you can see several of my articles on piano music. Okay, page moved here. Okay, I moved my domain, so that's my old piano. I had a piano, you know, I had a few a long time ago, 20 years ago. So you go to piano, you go to Bach. Okay, that's Bach's music. I don't want to play too long because Google is gonna say censorship, you know, copyright violation and so on. So for 5 minutes, you know, this one is 10 minutes. So the file size is probably 5 megabytes. Okay, 5 megabytes. But if it's recorded in Midi, the file size is just 1 kilobyte. Okay, so it's extremely compact. And once you have a Midi file, you can play it through different instruments. You know, so when a computer sees a Midi file, you know, it's just a bunch of notes. It tries to play it, and by using a synthesizer, you know, when it sees a note is played, it needs to, you know, actually play the note by using some kind of synthesizer technology, or, you know, that's why these Midi keyboards are for. You know, you guys probably are familiar. You know, there's a lot of videos about Midi. All these are done with Midi. So once you have a Midi file, you can buy a Midi keyboard and connect to it, and it'll just play it. You know, the sound came from the instrument, came from the hardware. Okay, so that's what Midi files are. So I have, you know, back in 20 years ago, I collected a lot of them. Basically, non-copyright. Okay, so I have the right, most of them, I think. You know, I try to. So I collected lots of them, but unfortunately, they, you know, you cannot play them today unless you have to install a browser extension and so on. No operating system, Mac or Linux or Windows, by default support any Midi. You know, you save this in a file, they don't play. You need a special software or Midi, you know, Midi keyboard. So that's what my Midi file is. And so what I want to say is it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, for example, here's a Midi file, it doesn't, you know, play. I believe around year 1999 on the Mac, it will play actually. Yeah. I don't remember it's via an extension, a browser plugin or add-on or not. I forgot. But so that's about MIDI file. Yeah, real audio is another very old format. Real audio. Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's it for today. I want to finish another Lisp task. Okay, we don't have much comments. Anything else? So 6 people watching. Okay, let's do another Emacs Lisp. Let's continue with Lisp today. Okay, so MIDI files, pianos, very interesting. You might go check it out. MIDI notes art. So this is very interesting because yeah, this is amazing. Okay, piano MIDI notes art. This is amazing because when you play piano, there's always the question. Some piano pieces are very difficult to play. So, but what if you are Superman? You have 3 hands or you have 4 hands. Okay, what will happen to the music? Imagine if you human animals or alien that have 4 hands, then how would it impact piano music? Would it, if you can play 20 fingers at the same time, would that make piano music suddenly better? Okay, that's a question. Now that question is easy to answer because we can have 2 people playing the piano at the same time. Usually sitting, that's very common. You sit side by side or you have each person plays a piano. But what if you have 6 hands or 10 hands? What if a human can have 100 notes playing at the same time? How does it impact the music? So that's an interesting question. And so what happen? What happens if you have 100 fingers at the same time available to you? Well, we know the answer. The answer is here. So these people using the MIDI technology, you can easily compose music or with MIDI and play it. You don't have to learn piano because with MIDI, it's just notes. The machine will play it for you. So you don't have to take 10 years to learn the piano. So the MIDI, so you can see here, that's like 40 or 100 notes all playing together at the same time. Let's see. Let's play a little bit. Okay, let me turn on my my computer audio, see if that works. There it is. You see, that's like a lot of hands playing piano at the same time, and they went crazy. You wouldn't believe. Like for example, you see this one. Each one of those dots. So this is literally playing about 88 keys all at the same time, and meanwhile still making it musical. So it says Bad Apple Super Synthesized Version 2, 245 million notes. So that's very interesting. MIDI. Okay, so that's about MIDI. Let's go back to Emacs Lisp. Let's do the next thing. Actually, let's call it a day because let's not do another. So let's reserve there's some other Emacs Lisp I want to do, but let's go back to the HTML file. Then let's do this. So here is another thing I need to fix. So here is a video. So here is a function HTML video file suffix. Okay, we already did that, but there is another one. So here, this one HTML audio file suffix. We're gonna do the same thing. Okay, so this time I'm just going to do it fast. Copy it, paste it here. So audio file extension, create a new variable. Okay, HTML audio file extensions, a list of audio file extensions. Okay, and what are they? So copy this here, and let's create a new list here. Okay, so let's replace by space. Okay. Okay, and watch this function space to new line. Okay, and do that. Okay, that. Okay, so that is that. So we did that. Evaluate. Now we just need to modify this line. So delete that. Now we just copy the code here and copy the file name, put the file name here. That's it. So we need to change the documentation. Return true if path has audio file extension. Okay, that's it. So here is a new implementation. Okay, now, okay, basically that's it for today. Okay, so but yeah, but you can see here actually we are using a different implementation. We are using a different implementation before, because the way we did it here today. Okay, let me talk about this a little bit. So let me open a new buffer. Set it to Emacs Lisp mod. Okay, magnify. Pretty God. Yeah. Okay, prettify. Okay, so we have now two ways to implement the same thing. The first way we explained before, we use sequence sum. So sequence sum maps a function to a list. If the function returns true on any element of the list, then it aborts and returns true. Okay, this is one way to implement this function. Now the other way is let's make this like that. Okay, so let me prettify the code. The other way is like that. So you do string match. So you call string match one shot. Okay, the string match takes two arguments, a regular expression, then a file path. So what is the regular expression? The regular expression is you concatenate the list of file extensions so that they become all, regular expression all, which is the vertical sign. But in Emacs Lisp, you need double backslash in front. So anyway, so you concact, you turn a list into a string with a bunch of regular expression all in between. So then you do string match one shot. So this is actually the more efficient way than what we just did earlier. You know, what we did is, you know, we map the string match function multiple times, you know. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. You know, if you like my stuff, PayPal me, Patreon me, you know, or buy my packages. Bye, guys. Yeah, we did. So now it's almost an hour. Now we're gonna shut down in 5 minutes. So let me just do some cleanup of my post video processing, pre-post video processing. Let me clean up my code, okay? So actually I want to use this implementation, not the lambda, not the setQ, okay? So change that here. Delete that compact. Okay, so and now I'm going to change the name. So search for suffix, okay? Search for suffix. So we have all these functions with suffix name in them. I'm gonna change them all to extension. Okay, so first of all, make a backup, show the pink window, go to top, query replace suffix. Okay, extension 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is XAR HTML mod you are looking at. Okay, evaluate the buffer. Good. Okay, now that should be good. Now go to the top, change the version date. So we just made a change. Now insert date, this format. Okay, version 9. And let's change the version number. Let's see, 16. Okay, that's that. Okay, save it. Go to the directory, eShell, git status. You can see there's a modified XAR HTML mod modified. Git add, added, git commit. Okay, let's just say a do. Okay, and this is part of my XAR packages. Okay, so we did modify that, improved XAR HTML mod. Okay, close it, show in browser. Yeah, we modified this code. And that's it for today. Now I'm just going to copy some of the things we talked about into XAR Talk Show page. And okay, so let's go here. And this video, we don't need it anymore. Delete it. Okay, XAR Midi keyboard, close. Unfortunate fate of music Midi files. Okay, copy it, paste it here, close. And piano Midi notes art, copy it, back here, paste it. This is Mario Brothers, fascinating. And this is this is amazing. Audio recorder, synthesizers, Midi software. Now this I wrote 10 years ago. It's outdated. I wrote this article is because starting about 10 or 20 years ago, to be you know, actually 20 years ago, there's a lot software-based synthesizers. So instead of buying a hardware synthesizer, you can use computer. There's a lot of software synthesizers. So this is kind of my notes, software synth, yeah, about some of them. For example, Fluid Synth. Let's see, you know, I was into synthesizers since 1990s, since late 1980s, 1986 for a while. Okay, copy it, go here, paste it, close it. Lisp keyboard music. Okay, Lisp is my favorite pianist, favorite piano composer, and piano is my favorite music. Okay, make a list. Close. There is today's talk show. Bye, guys.